My brother handed me a cup of coffee and smiled. That smile should have warned me. But I had spent 32 years believing Kyle loved me, and old habits die hard. The law office of Mercer and Associates occupied the top floor of a glass tower in downtown Denver. I stood outside the conference room door at exactly 10:30 in the morning, clutching my purse like a shield, watching my breath fog in the November air that seeped through the old windows. My black dress felt too tight. My heels pinched. Everything about this day felt wrong. 2 weeks. It had only been 2 weeks since Dad's heart attack. 2 weeks since I got that phone call at 3 in the morning. 2 weeks since my world collapsed. And now I was here. For the reading of his will, ready to watch my brother inherit everything while I sat in the corner like the forgotten daughter I had always been. Kyle and Brittany were already there, of course. They were always early when money was involved. My brother sat in one of the leather chairs like he owned the place. His suit probably cost more than my monthly rent. His wife sat beside him, scrolling through her phone, her diamond rings catching the light with every swipe. I took a breath and walked in. "Megan?" Kyle nodded at me. Not a hug, not even a handshake, just my name spoken like an afterthought, like I was a stranger who had wandered in by mistake. "Kyle," I kept my voice steady. "Brittany." My sister-in-law barely glanced up from her phone. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped against the screen. "Oh, you actually came. I thought you would be too busy with your little accounting job to bother showing up for something this important." I did not respond. I had learned a long time ago that responding only gave her more ammunition. Brittany collected my reactions like trophies. The more I fought back, the more she won. "You look tired," she added, finally looking at me. Her eye swept over my dress, my hair, my sensible heels. "Rough couple of weeks, or just your usual look?" Kyle said nothing. He never said anything when Brittany attacked me. That was just how things were in the Anderson family. Kyle was the golden child. I was the afterthought. And Brittany had figured out within weeks of meeting him exactly which sister-in-law she could treat like dirt. The door to the inner office opened and a silver-haired man in a charcoal suit stepped out. David Mercer. He had been my father's lawyer for over 20 years. His handshake was warm when he greeted me, and the kindness in his eyes almost broke me. "Miss Anderson." He held my hand a moment longer than necessary. "I am so sorry for your loss. Walter was a good man. One of the best I have ever known." "Thank you." The words scraped past the lump in my throat. I would not cry. Not here. Not in front of them. "Before we begin the formal reading," Mr. Mercer said, lowering his voice so only I could hear, "your father left something specifically for you." He pressed a cream-colored envelope into my hands. The moment I saw the handwriting on the front, my eyes began to sting. "For Megan, when the time is right." Dad's handwriting. A little shaky near the end, but unmistakably his. The M had that same flourish he always used when he signed my birthday cards. "He asked that you open it after the reading," Mr. Mercer added. His eyes held something I could not quite read. Concern warning. He was very specific about that instruction. I nodded and slipped the envelope into my purse. My hands were trembling too much to trust myself with it now. Whatever Dad wanted to tell me would have to wait. "The reading will begin in 10 minutes, Mr. Mercer announced to the room. "Please help yourselves to coffee. My assistant will call you when we are ready." He disappeared back into his office. I found a chair as far from Kyle and Brittany as possible and tried to remember how to breathe. That is when Kyle surprised me. He stood up stretched like he had been sitting for hours instead of minutes and walked to the coffee station in the corner of the waiting room. A standard office setup. A pot of coffee, some cups, cream and sugar, nothing special. Kyle poured 2 cups, added cream to both. Then he walked over to me. "Peace offering." He held out one of the cups. His face was arranged into something almost resembling warmth. "I know we have not been close lately, Meg. And I know things have been hard. But we are family, right? Dad would want us to try. He would want us to lean on each other now that he is gone." I stared at the coffee in his hand. Kyle being nice to me was about as common as snow in July. In the 32 years I had known my brother, I could count on one hand the number of times he had done something genuinely kind for me. But the look on his face seemed almost sincere, almost sad. There was something in his eyes that reminded me of the brother he used to be back when we were kids before everything got complicated. Maybe Dad's death had changed him. Maybe facing mortality had made him realize Life was too short for petty feuds. Maybe he was finally ready to be the brother I had always wished he could be. I took the cup. "Thank you, Kyle." He smiled again. That same smile from before. "Of course, Meg, we are in this together." He went back to his seat next to Brittany. She looked up from her phone the moment she saw the coffee in my hands. Her eyes narrowed into slits. "What is that?" "Kyle got me coffee," I said. Even as I said it, I felt like a child showing off a participation trophy. "Look, the favorite finally noticed me." Brittany stood up so fast her chair scraped against the marble floor. She crossed the room in 3 strides, her heels clicking like gunshots, and snatched the cup right out of my hands. "I will take this." Her voice dripped with contempt. "You do not deserve even a cup of coffee from this family. Do you have any idea how much Kyle sacrificed to take care of Dad while you were off playing accountant in your sad little apartment? Do you know how many nights he spent at the hospital, how many meetings he missed?" I knew exactly how many nights Kyle had spent at the hospital. 0. I was the one who held Dad's hand during the chemotherapy. I was the one who slept in that uncomfortable hospital chair night after night. I was the one who drove him to every doctor's appointment, who learned how to change his IV bags, who held the bucket when he was too weak to make it to the bathroom. Kyle showed up for the last 3 days, just in time for Dad to see his golden boy. Just in time for the tears and the cameras and the sympathy. But I did not say any of that. I never did. What was the point? Kyle would deny it, Brittany would back him up, and I would look like the bitter, jealous sister. That was how it always went. Brittany raised the cup to her lips with a triumphant smirk. "Consider this a preview of how the will reading is going to go. You get nothing, Kyle gets everything. That is how it should be. That is how it has always been." She drank the entire cup in 3 long gulps, maintaining eye contact with me the whole time. Like it was a victory, like stealing my coffee proved something important about who we were and who we would always be. I glanced at Kyle, and I saw it, just for a second, maybe half a second. His face went pale, not concerned pale, not worried about his wife pale, something else entirely. His eyes widened, his jaw clenched, something flickered across his expression that looked almost like panic. Then it was gone. He was smiling again, that warm brotherly smile, like nothing had happened. Like I had imagined the whole thing. Maybe I did imagine it. I was exhausted, grief-stricken, paranoid. Maybe I was seeing things that were not there. Mr. Mercer's assistant appeared at the door, a young woman with a clipboard and a professional smile. "We are ready for you now." The conference room was all dark wood and leather with a long table that could seat 12. We only needed 4 chairs today. Mr. Mercer sat at the head of the table. Kyle and Brittany took the seats on one side, sitting close together, a united front. I sat alone on the other side. "Before we begin," Mr. Mercer said, "I want to note for the record that Walter Anderson made some significant changes to his estate documents approximately 2 months before his passing. He was examined by his physician and determined to be of completely sound mind. All changes were properly witnessed and notarized according to Colorado law." Kyle shifted in his seat. "Changes? What kind of changes?" Mr. Mercer did not answer directly. He opened a manila folder and adjusted his reading glasses. The first items were small, sentimental things. Mom's jewelry collection went to me. Dad's watch and cufflinks went to Kyle. Some specific charitable donations to organizations Dad had supported for years. Some small bequests to old friends and longtime employees at the company. Then Mr. Mercer paused. He looked at Kyle over his glasses. He looked at me. He cleared his throat like he was preparing to deliver difficult news. "The remainder of my estate," he read, his voice steady and clear, "including all real property, all financial investments, and my 51% controlling ownership stake in Anderson Construction, I leave to my daughter Megan Louise Anderson." The silence that followed was absolute. I could not have heard that right. I must have misunderstood something. Dad's company, his house, his investments, his entire life's work, that was supposed to go to Kyle. Kyle was the eldest son. Kyle worked at the company. Kyle was the favorite, the golden child, the one Dad was always proud of. "That is a mistake." Kyle's voice came out strangled. His face had gone from confident to colorless in seconds. "That has to be a mistake. Dad would never do this to me. He promised. He told me I would take over the company. He said it was my birthright." "There is no mistake, Mr. Anderson." Mr. Mercer's voice was calm but firm. Your father was very clear and very specific about his intentions when he made these changes. I advised him to take more time to consider, but he was insistent. 2 months ago, Kyle was on his feet now, his hands shook. What happened 2 months ago? What did she tell him? What lies did she feed him to make him do this? Kyle, I started. I did not know what I was going to say. I did not understand any of this either. Shut up! He slammed his palm on the polished table. The sound echoed off the walls. This is insane. She does not even work for the company. She has not been part of this family for years. She abandoned Dad when he needed her most. That one hurt, because it was the exact opposite of the truth, and he knew it. I am contesting this. Kyle was pacing now, his expensive shoes wearing a path in the carpet. I am calling my lawyers today. This will not stand. She manipulated him somehow. She must have. She took advantage of a sick old man. There is no other explanation for this insanity. Brittany had been strangely quiet through all of this. I glanced at her and felt my stomach drop. She was pale, not angry pale, not shocked pale, sick pale. Sweat beaded on her forehead, even though the room was cool. Her hand pressed against her stomach. Her breathing had become shallow and rapid. She swallowed hard. Her voice came out thin. I need some water. I do not feel very tired. She did not finish the sentence. Her eyes rolled back in her head, and she collapsed sideways out of her chair, hitting the floor hard. Brittany. Kyle rushed to her side and dropped to his knees. I was frozen, paralyzed, watching. Brittany lay on the expensive carpet, her body starting to convulse. Her back arched, her limbs twitched. Foam appeared at the corner of her mouth. Her designer handbag had fallen open when she collapsed, and the empty coffee cup rolled out across the floor. The cup Kyle had given me. The cup Brittany had stolen. The coffee. Oh God, the coffee. Call 911. Mr. Mercer was already shouting at his assistant. She had her phone out before he finished the sentence. Kyle was kneeling beside Brittany, but his hands were hovering uselessly over her shaking body. He was not giving her CPR. He was not rolling her on her side. He was just kneeling there, frozen. And he was not looking at her. He was looking at me. In his eyes, I saw terror. But not the terror of a husband watching his wife seize on the floor. Something else. Something colder, something calculating. The terror of a plan gone wrong. Everything after that happened in fragments. Disconnected images burned into my memory. Paramedics rushing through the door with their bags and stretchers. Brittany strapped down an oxygen mask over her face, an IV jabbed into her arm. Kyle following the gurney out, playing the devastated husband to perfection. But before he left, he leaned close to my ear, close enough that no one else could hear. What did you do? He whispered. And the rage in his voice was real. Not concern for his wife. Rage at me. I was too shocked to respond. Police arrived within minutes. The building was already on lockdown by the time the last paramedic left. A detective named Morris took charge of the scene. She was a stocky woman in her 50s, with steel gray hair and eyes that seemed to record everything they saw. She secured the coffee cup as evidence, bagging it with gloved hands. She separated Kyle and me for individual questioning. I sat in Mr. Mercer's private office, hands shaking, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. Kyle gave his statement first. I could hear his voice through the wall, muffled but unmistakably emotional, convincing, grieving, the perfect victim's husband. When it was my turn, Detective Morris led me to a smaller conference room and closed the door behind us. Walk me through exactly what happened with the coffee, Miss Anderson. I told her everything. Kyle made the coffee. Kyle offered it to me as a peace offering. Brittany took it from my hands. Brittany drank it. She wrote it all down without a single expression crossing her face. Then she looked up from her notepad. Your brother tells a different story. My heart stopped. What? He says you made the coffee. You brought it from home in a thermos. You offered it to him, but he declined because he does not drink coffee. He says you then gave it to his wife. That is a lie. The words came out too loud. That is not what happened. There are security cameras. There must be cameras in this building. They will show exactly what happened. We are looking into that. Detective Morris studied me with those sharp recording eyes. In the meantime, your sister-in-law is in critical condition at Denver General. Doctors are treating her for what appears to be poisoning. If she does not survive, Miss Anderson, this becomes a homicide investigation. The room spun around me. The walls tilted. I gripped the edge of the table to keep from falling. I did not do anything. Kyle gave me that coffee. Brittany took it from me. I never even drank any of it. Your brother also mentioned that you just inherited your father's entire estate today. Millions of dollars, control of a major construction company. She let that hang in the air. That is quite a motive, Miss Anderson. I did not even know I was inheriting anything until 20 minutes ago. He said you would say exactly that. Detective Morris flipped through her notes. He also mentioned that you have been estranged from the family for years, that you harbored deep resentment toward him and his wife, that you had made threats in the past. Threats? The word came out as a gasp. I have never threatened anyone in my entire life. She did not look convinced. Why would she? Kyle was charming. Kyle was successful. Kyle had lawyers and money and a dying wife to generate sympathy. What did I have? An accounting job and a one-bedroom apartment and a lifetime of being the sister nobody believed. The door opened and a uniformed officer stepped in. Detective Mr. Anderson's attorney is here. He is requesting that we release his client. Detective Morris nodded and stood. Miss Anderson, I am going to need you to come down to the station with us. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but you are officially a person of interest in a poisoning investigation. She paused at the door. Do you have a lawyer? I did not. I had never needed one before. I would suggest you get one, soon. I grabbed my purse as the officer led me toward the exit. My fingers brushed against the cream-colored envelope inside. Dad's last words to me still unread. Whatever message he had left, whatever he wanted me to know, I would have to wait to find out. In the hallway, Kyle was shaking hands with a silver-haired man in an obviously expensive suit. His lawyer, already here, already prepared. Like he had been expecting this exact situation. How do you have a lawyer ready for your wife's poisoning unless you knew it was coming? Our eyes met across the hallway. Kyle's face was a mask of concern and grief. The worried brother, the traumatized husband, the victim of circumstance. It was an Oscar-worthy performance, and I had no doubt that Detective Morris and everyone else in this building was buying every second of it. But I knew my brother. I had known him for 32 years. I had watched him lie to teachers and parents and girlfriends and business partners. I knew what his real face looked like. And for just a second behind the mask, I saw it. A smirk. Tiny, quick, gone before anyone else could catch it. But I saw it. The officer's hand closed around my arm. This way, Miss Anderson. I walked out of that building in handcuffs. The cold November air hit my face. Police lights flashed blue and red. A small crowd had gathered on the sidewalk, phones out recording everything. Tomorrow I would be all over the internet. The sister who poisoned her sister-in-law for an inheritance. But as they put me in the back of the police car, one thought kept spinning through my mind. I was supposed to drink that coffee. I was supposed to be the one in the ambulance. I was supposed to be the one convulsing on the floor, foaming at the mouth, fighting for my life. Or not fighting at all. Maybe I was supposed to be dead already. Kyle had planned this. He had planned every single moment of it. The fake kindness, the peace offering, the poison. He wanted me dead so he could inherit everything. And when Brittany's pettiness and greed accidentally saved my life, he pivoted. He adapted. He turned his own wife's poisoning into my crime. I pressed my forehead against the cold glass of the car window. My brother tried to kill me today, and now I was the suspect in my own attempted murder. The only person who could prove the truth was fighting for her life in a hospital bed, poisoned by the man she trusted most in the world. And in my purse, still unopened, was whatever message Dad had left for me. When the time is right. What did you know, Dad? What were you trying to tell me? The police car pulled away from the curb. I watched the glass tower shrink in the distance. This was not over, not even close. The interrogation room was exactly like the ones in movies. Gray walls, metal table bolted to the floor, one-way mirror that I knew had people watching from the other side. The chair was hard plastic, uncomfortable by design. Everything about this place was meant to make you feel guilty even when you were innocent. I had been here for 6 hours. Detective Morris sat across from me, her notepad filled with pages of my answers, the same answers I had given a dozen times now. Kyle made the coffee. Kyle gave it to me. Brittany took it. Brittany drank it. That was the truth. That was what happened. I repeated it until the words lost all meaning. Walk me through it again, she said. So I did. Again. My voice was hoarse, my throat was dry. The fluorescent lights above hummed at a frequency that made my head throb. Somewhere around hour 4, they brought in a laptop and showed me the security footage from the law office building. The camera in the hallway outside Mr. Mercer's waiting room had caught everything. Kyle walking to the coffee station in the corner. Kyle pouring 2 cups. Kyle adding something to one of them. Kyle walking over to me and handing me that specific cup. "This matches your story," Detective Morris admitted. Her voice was careful, neutral. Relief flooded through me. Finally, proof, evidence that I was telling the truth. "But," she continued, and my heart sank into my stomach, "there is no camera angle showing what he added to the coffee. The footage is grainy. Your brother's lawyers will argue it could have been sugar or cream. His position claims you brought a thermos from home, that you poured the coffee yourself when no one was looking somewhere off camera. That is a lie. I did not bring anything. Check my car, check my apartment. You will not find a thermos." "We already did." She closed her notepad. "We did not find one, but that does not prove you did not dispose of it." I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table and demand justice. But I sat still, my hands folded in my lap, because that was what I had always done. Sit still, stay quiet. Do not cause trouble. "We are going to release you for now, Miss Anderson, but you remain a person of interest in this investigation. Do not leave Denver. Do not contact your brother. Do not contact any potential witnesses." "What about Brittany? Is she going to be okay?" Detective Morris's face gave nothing away. "She is in critical condition at Denver General. Doctors have induced a coma to reduce brain swelling from the toxins. They are doing everything they can." I walked out of that police station at 11:30 at night. The cold November air hit my face like a physical blow. I had no car. My phone was dead. My purse contained $43 in cash, a lipstick I never wore, and an envelope from my dead father that I was terrified to open. I took a cab home to my small apartment on the east side of the city, the apartment I had been so proud of when I first rented it. Proof that I could make it on my own without the Anderson family money. Now it just felt like a prison cell. Sleep did not come that night. I sat in my dark living room watching the hours tick by on the microwave clock, waiting for morning. The call from Detective Morris came at 8:15. "Miss Anderson, we have received some additional evidence that we need to discuss with you. Can you come to the station as soon as possible?" It was not a request. When I arrived, she led me to a different room, a conference room this time with an actual window. Sitting at the long table was a man I recognized from the law office hallway, silver hair, expensive suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Kyle's lawyer. "This is Mr. Harrison," Detective Morris said. "He represents your brother. He has provided us with some materials that are quite concerning." Mr. Harrison slid a manila folder across the table toward me. Inside were printed screenshots of text messages, from my phone number to Kyle. Messages I had never sent in my life. "You will pay for what you did to me. You will pay for taking everything. I will make sure you lose it all. Do not think I have forgotten. Dad chose you, but I will make sure you never enjoy a penny of it. One day soon you will drink something that tastes a little bit wrong, and then you will finally understand what you put me through." I stared at the words on the page. My hands were shaking so badly the paper trembled. "I did not send these. I have never sent anything like this to anyone." "They came from your phone number," Mr. Harrison said smoothly. His voice was like oil. "We have verified the carrier records. These messages originated from the device registered to Megan Louise Anderson. Then someone spoofed my number, or Kyle bought a burner phone and programmed it to mimic my number. This is fabricated evidence. He manufactured this." Detective Morris held up another sheet of paper. A receipt. From a hardware store in Aurora, a suburb on the other side of the city. The item purchased was rat poison. The date was 3 weeks ago. The payment method was a credit card in my name. "My credit card was stolen 2 months ago," I said. "I reported it. I filed a police report. The card was canceled." "Do you have documentation that this specific charge was fraudulent?" I did not. The credit card company had simply canceled the compromised card and issued a new one. I had checked the statement, seen a few suspicious charges, reported them as fraud, and moved on. I had not documented every single transaction. I had not expected to need proof. Mr. Harrison smiled. It was the smile of a shark that had caught the scent of blood in the water. "My client is the victim here, Detective. His wife is fighting for her life. His sister has harbored deep resentment against him for decades. She stood to inherit nothing until she somehow manipulated a sick, dying old man into changing his will at the last moment. And now we have evidence of explicit threats and the purchase of the exact poison found in that coffee. I think the picture is quite clear. I looked at Detective Morris, searching her face for any sign that she believed me. You cannot believe this. Kyle planned this from the beginning. He set me up. Those messages are fakes. That receipt is from a stolen card. He is framing me for his own crime. Her face remained professionally neutral. We will investigate all possibilities, Miss Anderson. In the meantime, please ensure you remain available and do not leave the Denver metro area. I walked out of the police station into bright morning sunlight that felt like a cruel joke. Kyle had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. He had created a digital trail pointing directly at me. He had manufactured evidence. And his word, backed by expensive lawyers and fabricated proof, was worth more than my truth. The only person who could contradict his story was lying in a hospital bed fighting for her life, poisoned by the very coffee trap he had set for me. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. The envelope from Dad sat on my kitchen table where I had placed it when I got home from the police station, cream-colored. His handwriting on the front, "For Megan, when the time is right." I had been carrying it around since the will reading, too afraid to open it. What if it was just a sentimental goodbye letter? What if there was nothing useful inside, just more grief to add to the pile? What if I opened it and found no answers, only more questions? But I was out of options. Kyle had closed every door. He had manufactured a case against me so thorough that even I almost believed it. This envelope was all I had left. I picked it up. My hands were steadier than I expected. Maybe because I had finally reached the bottom. When you are already drowning, you stop being afraid of the water. I tore open the envelope. Inside was a letter, multiple pages handwritten on Dad's personal stationery. His handwriting was shaky in places, evidence of the illness that had been slowly killing him. Behind the letter was a thick stack of documents, bank statements, spreadsheets covered in highlighted numbers, a formal report with a forensic accounting firm's letterhead. I read the letter first. My dearest Megan, if you are reading this, something has happened to me. I am either gone or I am too weak to tell you this in person. Either way, I am sorry. I should have been braver. I should have told you everything months ago, face to face like a father should. 3 months before I wrote this letter, I discovered something terrible. Your brother has been stealing from me, from the company I built with my own hands. Over the past 4 years, Kyle has embezzled more than $2 million from Anderson Construction. He hid it well. Shell companies with fake names, invoices for work that was never done, payments to contractors who do not exist. I did not want to believe it at first. I made excuses for him. I told myself there must be an explanation. But the numbers do not lie. They never lie. I hired a forensic accounting firm to verify what I had found. Their report is attached to this letter. It is all documented. Every stolen dollar, every fake company, every forged signature. When I confronted Kyle, he denied everything. He said I was confused, that my illness was affecting my mind. He said you must have done this somehow, even though you have not worked for the company in years. He tried to make me doubt my own sanity. That is when I knew for certain. My son looked me in the eyes and lied to me. He tried to gaslight his own dying father. I changed my will the very next day. Everything goes to you, Megan. Not because I love you more than your brother. I love you both despite everything. But I can trust you. I have always been able to trust you. You have always been honest even when honesty cost you dearly. You never asked for anything even when you deserved so much more than I gave you. I am sorry I did not see the truth sooner. I spent so many years believing Kyle was the golden child, the successful son, the heir to everything I built. I was blind, Megan. You were right there in front of me, quiet and kind and good, and I did not see you. I did not appreciate you. I am sorry for every moment I made you feel invisible. If anything happens to me, or if anything happens to you, investigate Kyle. He is not the man I raised him to be. He is not the man I thought he was. The proof is in these documents. Use them. Protect yourself. I love you, Megan. I always have, even when I was too foolish to show it. Your father, Walter. I read the letter 3 times. Then I read it again more slowly, letting every word sink in. Dad knew. He had known about Kyle for months. He had tried to protect me even after death, and he loved me. After 32 years of feeling invisible, of feeling like the forgotten child, the daughter who was never quite good enough, my father had finally seen me, really seen me. I looked at the forensic accounting report, page after page of detailed evidence, wire transfers to offshore accounts, shell companies with nothing but a mailbox address, forged signatures on invoices. Everything Kyle had done to steal from his own father documented in cold, irrefutable numbers. This was proof, real proof, not of the poisoning itself, but of motive. Kyle needed that inheritance because he had already stolen millions and needed to cover his tracks. If I inherited the company and brought in auditors, they would find everything. His whole scheme would collapse. That was why he tried to kill me, not out of greed for more money, out of desperation to hide what he had already taken. I did not sleep that night. I made copies of every document. I scanned them into my computer. I uploaded them to 3 different cloud storage services. I was not going to let this evidence disappear. In the morning, I went back to the police, then to the district attorney's office. The meeting did not go the way I had hoped. "These documents are from a deceased person," the assistant district attorney said. Her name was Torres, sharp face, sharper eyes. She looked like someone who had spent years watching people lie to her. "Your father cannot testify to their authenticity. Defense attorneys will argue the documents could have been fabricated, by you specifically. There is a forensic accounting firm's report attached. You can contact them. They can verify their findings independently. We will look into that. But even if the embezzlement is proven true, it does not automatically prove Kyle poisoned anyone." She leaned forward. "In fact, it could support his narrative. You discovered your brother was stealing. You confronted your father. You pressured him into changing the will. And then you poisoned your sister-in-law to ensure the inheritance stayed with you. The logic was twisted, insane, but I could see how a jury might believe it. So you are still considering charging me with the poisoning?" ADA Torres and Detective Morris exchanged a look that made my stomach turn to ice. "Brittany Anderson remains in a medically induced coma," Detective Morris said carefully. "The doctors are hopeful, but if she does not recover, this becomes a homicide investigation. Right now, we have physical evidence that points to you. Text message threats. A poison purchase linked to your credit card. Means motive and opportunity. Without a witness who can directly contradict your brother's version of events." She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. I was going to be charged with murder. Kyle was going to get away with everything. And there was absolutely nothing I could do to stop it. I walked out of the district attorney's building and sat on a cold metal bench in the November air. My breath fogged in front of me. People walked past going about their ordinary lives, and I wondered what that felt like. To not have a brother who wanted you dead. To not be one unconscious woman away from a prison cell. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something instinct or desperation made me answer. "Is this Megan Anderson?" A woman's voice. Professional. The efficient tone of someone who made difficult phone calls for a living. "Yes. This is Denver General Hospital calling. Brittany Anderson woke up from her coma this morning. She is asking to speak with you." For a long moment, I could not move, could not breathe, could not think. Brittany was awake. The woman who hated me more than anyone else on earth. The woman who had stolen my coffee just to prove how worthless I was. The woman whose petty cruelty had accidentally saved my life. She was awake, and she was asking for me specifically. Why I took a cab to the hospital. The entire ride my mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she wanted to accuse me to my face. Maybe Kyle had already gotten to her, somehow coached her on what to say. Maybe this was another trap. But I had to go. She was the only witness, the only person alive who knew the truth about that coffee. There was a uniformed police officer stationed outside her room. He checked my identification, made a phone call, and then stepped aside to let me enter. The hospital room was filled with beeping machines and blinking monitors. Tubes and wires ran everywhere. Brittany lay in the center of it all, propped up slightly on pillows. Her face pale and gaunt. Her perfect hair was tangled and unwashed. Her designer nails were chipped. She looked like a shadow of the woman who had stolen my coffee 3 days ago. Our eyes met across the room, and the first words out of her mouth were not what I expected. "He tried to kill you," not a question, a statement, a fact. I froze in the doorway. "What, Kyle?" She closed her eyes for a moment, gathering strength. Even speaking seemed to exhaust her. "He tried to kill you, Megan. The coffee was meant for you. The poison was meant for you. I know that now. How do you know that? Because I'm not stupid. A ghost of her old sharpness flickered in her eyes. I have known something was wrong with Kyle for months. He was acting strange, secretive, disappearing for hours, being about where he had been. I thought he was having an affair. So I started watching him, monitoring his computer, checking his phone when he was in the shower. She paused to take a shaky breath. The machines beeped steadily around her. I found things on his laptop. Search history he thought he had deleted. How to make poison that looks like natural causes. How to induce a heart attack. How to make someone sick slowly without leaving evidence. Symptoms of various toxins. Lethal doses. My blood ran cold. He was researching how to kill someone. I thought he was planning to kill me. Brittany laughed, but it turned into a painful cough. I thought he wanted to get rid of me and marry someone younger, someone who did not ask questions about the finances. So I started gathering evidence, taking screenshots, saving files, building a case for when I filed for divorce. You have evidence, actual evidence. Everything, on my phone, on cloud storage, on a flash drive in my safe deposit box at the bank. She met my eyes with an intensity that surprised me. Browser history showing every search he made, purchase records for chemicals, a receipt for a prepaid burner phone, text messages he sent to himself from that burner testing whether the number spoofing software actually worked. The threatening text messages, the ones that supposedly came from my phone. He framed me, I whispered. He created fake evidence. He framed you, she confirmed, and I can prove it. I did not understand what all the evidence meant until I woke up and a detective told me someone had poisoned my coffee. Then everything clicked into place. He was never planning to kill me. It was always you. You were always the target. Brittany reached out and grabbed my wrist. Her grip was weak, trembling, but her eyes burned with a fury I had never seen in her before. I hated you, Megan. For years I hated you. I thought you were pathetic, weak, a doormat who let everyone walk all over her. I thought you were beneath me in every possible way. She swallowed hard. But Kyle tried to murder his own sister. He tried to murder you over money. And he almost killed me in the process. I was just collateral damage to him. 6 years of marriage and I was nothing but an acceptable casualty. Her voice cracked. If I had not been such a petty, spiteful person, I would not have grabbed that coffee from your hands. I drank it to hurt you, to prove you meant nothing. And that pettiness saved your life and almost ended mine. I did not know what to say. This woman who had tormented me at every family gathering, who had mocked me and belittled me, and made me feel worthless, was now the only person standing between me and a murder charge. I will testify, Brittany said. I will give the police everything, every screenshot, every file, every piece of evidence I gathered. Kyle is going to prison for the rest of his miserable life. Why? I had to ask. Why help me? You hate me. Because he lied to me too. Her voice broke completely. Tears streamed down her pale cheeks. I loved him, Megan. I gave him everything. I defended him against everyone, including you, and he was using me the whole time, just like he used you, just like he used your father. We were all just pieces on his chessboard. She released my wrist and sank back into the pillows, exhausted. Go get Detective Morris. Tell her I'm ready to make my statement. Tell her to bring a recorder because she is going to want to hear everything. 1 week later, I stood at my father's grave. The November wind was bitter cold, cutting through my coat, but I barely felt it. I held a bouquet of white roses, Dad's favorites, and stared at the headstone bearing his name. Kyle had been arrested 3 days after Brittany gave her testimony. The combined evidence was overwhelming. Dad's forensic accounting report proving the embezzlement, Brittany's screenshots of Kyle's poison research, the burner phone records matching the fake threatening texts, the security footage showing Kyle handing me the poisoned coffee, his own wife testifying against him in excruciating detail. He tried to deny everything, of course. He blamed Brittany, he blamed me, he blamed Dad, he blamed his lawyers. He blamed everyone except himself. But the evidence was too strong. Even the most expensive defense attorney could not explain away a confession written in browser history and bank transfers. I watched them lead him away in handcuffs after the arraignment. The golden child, the favorite son, the man who had stolen millions from his own father and tried to murder his own sister for an inheritance. He looked small, pathetic. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his hair uncombed. and his face as they guided him into the back of the transport van was twisted with rage, not guilt, not remorse, just fury at being caught. I had expected to feel something: satisfaction, triumph, vindication. But standing there watching my brother being taken to jail, I felt nothing but a vast, hollow exhaustion. Now, a week later, I knelt at Dad's grave and placed the roses against his headstone. "You knew," I said softly. "You saw what Kyle really was. You tried to protect me, even from beyond the grave. That envelope saved my life, Dad. Your words saved my life." The wind stirred the bare branches above me. Somewhere in the distance, a bird called out. "I read your letter so many times this week. Every time I found something new in it, some phrase I had missed. I touched the cold stone. You said you did not see me, that you were blind to who I really was. But you did see me, Dad. At the end, when it mattered most, you finally saw me." I stayed there for a long time, my knees cold against the frozen ground, talking to him, telling him about the investigation, about Brittany's testimony, about Kyle's arrest, about how the company would be restructured, the stolen money traced and recovered, about how I was going to be okay. Brittany was still in the hospital, recovering slowly. We would never be friends. Too much had happened between us for that. But she had texted me yesterday. 2 words. "Thank you," I had texted back, "thank you too." Enemies do not always stay enemies. Sometimes the person who hates you most becomes the one who saves you. I stood up and brushed the dirt and dead leaves from my knees. "I am going to be okay, Dad," I said to the headstone. "It is going to take time. There will be a trial. I'll have to face him in court, tell the jury everything. That terrifies me." I took a breath. But I am not invisible anymore. I am not the forgotten Anderson. I know what I am worth now, and I am not going to let anyone make me feel worthless ever again. For 32 years, I had been the quiet one, the one who did not cause trouble, the one who sat in corners and let people walk over me because fighting back seemed like too much effort. Not anymore. I walked away from my father's grave as the sun set behind me, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. My breath fogged in the cold air. My footsteps crunched on the frozen grass, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, I held my head high.